Hi, my name is Miss Flake, and I'm going to be teaching a math lesson to a second grade classroom. The lesson title is going to be Plotting Measurement Data on a Line Graph. So they're going to take the data that they gathered in the first lesson, and we're going to use it to create a graph in this lesson. Excuse me. The lesson objective is to create a graph displaying the results of lengths of different objects through measuring. And the evidence that I'm going to collect from the students is the students' ability to create the graph. All right, let's get started. Good morning, class. Today we are going to learn about how to create graphs. I remember mentioning in the first lesson that we talked about graphs briefly because I said at the end of the unit we were going to create a graph using the data collected from the first lesson. So what I have written on the whiteboard is the learning target. Now what I want us to do as a class is say the learning target out loud because it's going to be as if you guys wrote it. This is what I want you guys to be able to meet at the end of this lesson. So let's read it as a class. It says, I will create a graph displaying the results of different lengths of different objects through measuring. Good job. All right, so what else I have written on the board is the key vocabulary. So these are a couple of the words that are going to help you when design your graph and create it. These are some important aspects of the graph that you need to understand in order to create a graph successfully. So the first one, what type of graph are we going to be using in this lesson? Yes, line graph. Good job. Now, does anybody know what a line graph is? No? Okay. So what a line graph is you're going to have your graph like this, and it's going to be, you're going to have data points scattered all over the place, or you'll have it in a straight line or in a pattern, but the line connects every single data point. So it's easy to compare the numbers. So the next thing is how we design the graph. So what is axis of a graph? Does anybody know what the axis of a graph is? No? Okay, that's totally fine. So the x-axis is the horizontal line. So in this little sample graph that I have made, this blue highlighted on the bottom part is the horizontal line. So that's your x-axis. Does anybody know what we're going to be putting on the x-axis? Yes, the name of our objects. So where I have highlighted in yellow is you're going to write name of objects, and then within each, you're going to make tick marks, and you're going to say classroom door, a window, desk, apple, pencil, like anything that you measured, you're going to write down here. Now, does anybody know what the next axis is? No? Okay, the y-axis. Yes, so the y-axis is the vertical. So in this blue line, it's going to be right here. And does anybody know what we're going to put on there? Yes, the data numbers, so the unit of measurement. So in this highlighted yellow, you're going to write length of objects. So if the apple was 2 inches long, you'll write 2 inches long, and then you'll count up. So for this, we have to keep in mind that at the 90-degree angle where it meets, it's always going to be 0. And so from there up, you can count by 2s, 5s, 10s, or you can count by 1s, whatever works so that you're able to get all of the data plotted. So if, let's say that it was easier to count by 2s, you go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you'd be able to get all of the length of the pencil, the door, all of that inside this graph. You do not want to, for example, have 1 down here and then all the way jump to 5 and then jump to 8. No, you want to be able to have a certain pattern as we go up. But don't worry, we're going to do an example as a class. And then lastly is the title. So the title is a huge thing for a graph because when people are going to look at our graphs, they want to know what we are comparing. So for the title of the graph for this lesson, it would be comparing different lengths of different objects or something to that effect. You can make it fun, boring, whatever, but as long as it represents the what's being shown by the graph. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a graph as an example because we haven't had much practice with one. And then after we do a short little example, I'm going to turn you loose and you're going to take out the data that you got from the first lesson and you're going to create your own graph. And then after that, we're going to come back together as a class, and you're going to show off your graphs. So I'll pick a couple of you and show us how you came up with the way you did your graph. All right, so let's start with the example. All right, for this example, we're just going to do a short one. It's just going to be simple, just so you guys can get the gist of it. We're going to be comparing temperature on days of the week. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to label our x-axis. And remember, the x-axis is the bottom, and it's what we're comparing. So can anyone raise their hand and tell me what they're going to put for the x-axis of this graph? Yes, days of the week. Good job. Okay, so now we're going to write down the days of the week. All right, good job. So now at the bottom of this graph, we're going to have the days of the week, Sunday through Saturday. All right, so now the next thing we need to do is we need to label the y-axis. Does anybody know what we're going to put on the y-axis? Yes, we're going to put the degrees in temperature. Good job, you guys. All right, so I have labeled temperature Fahrenheit because that's the degrees, the unit of measurement we're using. And then I started at 50, which you can do. You can start at a higher number than 1. And then I counted by 2, so 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, and 62. Looking at the data, I felt like counting by 2s was the easiest thing to do. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to plot the data. So looking at the chart above, let's plot the data. All right, good job, guys. This is what it's going to look like. So this is what a line graph looks like. You're able to see how the pattern of the weather changed between Sunday and Saturday. So it's going steady, up, down, up, down. So this is kind of what a line graph is going to be like. So now what I want you guys to do is go back to your desk, and you're going to create your own line graph using the data that you collected from the first lesson. And then after that, we are going to have 2 students share what they got. All right, you guys did a really good job of going around and doing your lessons. Creating your graph. I was able to walk around and provide assistance for anyone that needed it. So you guys did a really good job. Now I'm going to have 2 students come up and share their graphs. Seems like you guys learned a lot today about creating graphs. You did a really good job. So now you guys are able to go to recess. Have fun.